G'day guys, welcome to Fat Fords. A couple of days ago we had a visit from Con, our engineer, and Jason Mansueto also dropped in with him. I haven't seen him for a long time, so that was a bit of a surprise. Jason and Tristan Chakass actually built the engine for the John Goss, which you can see on the wall behind me. That's when they were together as a business called Trick and Mansueto. So had good memories of that car. Actually sadly sold that a few years back. But anyway, so the inspection with Con went pretty well, and I did record part of it, and I've taken some video clips from that recording and put them together in this episode. It's you're going to have to forgive some of the camera work. A lot of the time I got caught up in what we're talking about and wasn't focusing so much on being a good cameraman, so excuse that. Hopefully next time I can get Blake around to hold the camera for us. But anyway, hope you enjoy it. And then after that, just took a little bit of a video of the disassembly. We took the dash out and then pulled the floor pan back out of the car so that I can now carry on with all these major modifications. So pretty excited, as I say, about getting on with it, and I hope that you enjoy the video. What's that?
I can't believe how close the rails are. Blinding it. Like
The width.
the width was.
You happy with that? And actually, you see how the Falcon's slightly wider?
Yeah.
Well, I've actually jacked it apart, see? So when I knock that that bracket off and pull them together, they're going to be even closer.
Yep.
Because there's about, I don't know, 10-15 mil of spread at the moment to fit the Mustang in, and then yeah, because you'll see when you open the doors, like yeah, that's the whole idea. That was the whole idea. Was
they're not staying
okay.
Yeah,
It started out with wanting a Coyote motor, and then it was like, well, hang on a minute, it'd make it a lot easier if I had all the gearbox mounts, and then I could put all the dash in, and yeah, looks good.
Oh, very good.
So are you
Also,
happy with how that's looking there? Can we sandwich box that together, or
Yeah, you're gonna
plate either
plate
side?
either side, yeah.
Well, I can't plate the other side because that's right on top of the torque box. Can I just weld it to the torque box?
Can you
Let's
get in
take a guard off. Get some light in there. So I could actually weld a good portion of that from this side, couldn't I?
There you go. Yeah.
How's the gap? Is that?
That's weldable.
It's weldable.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad you said that because I like building up big welds.
Lots of building bridges. No, that's, yeah, it's a bit of a gap, but yeah, you can weld it.
So yeah, so basically I can put a bead of weld around that whole seam there.
Yeah, all the way down. You could probably come across as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'll come all the way across as much as I can. I'll weld whatever I can see. I'll weld.
Yeah.
So it's just the floor pan and the firewall you're using? Or the
Yeah.
Mustang?
Well,
So what we need to, which I thought about with the floor pan, but I didn't think about this, is the fact that these new things are, especially all parts of them are high strength steel. So as far as cutting and welding them,
say what?
as far as cutting and welding them, I know I looked into it a little bit. There's a lot of the manufacturers give like a they give like a data sheet and information about how they're going to be repaired if they have an accident.
Right.
So believe it or not, a lot of the data sheets when it comes to smash repair, they actually ask them to be plug MIG.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Probably because I guess the average panel shop doesn't have.
Well, you'd have to have a pretty kick-ass welder to weld
Yeah.
high-strength steel. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so,
That's
like
so
in this case, as you can see down here, that's the
That's
bottom
side
part
of
of the Mustang sill.
Yeah.
Those holes are. I drilled those holes pretty much where the spot welds were.
Yeah. Perfect.
Right,
Yeah.
and so I can plug weld them to the plate that's going to go in there.
Yeah. So
it's
keep
gonna end up
roughly
with a
keep that
40 mil
spacing
extension.
roughly the same when you're making your new outer sill. Just basically keep that spacing the same. Oh, you're gonna bring the seal down.
Yeah, I'm going to make a different. So it's going to.
seal.
Yeah, so it's not going to jump in as far. It's going to kind of come more sort of straight, like how that is.
Yeah.
Sort of come down like that, come right down. It'll gradually taper in, and then it'll just turn and just go straight under, and it won't have any lip.
Okay.
It'll just be smooth underneath.
It'll just continue into the.
How are you going to join this to that, just from there to there?
Oh no, there's another sill, a
inner sill?
secondary inner sill, which will go from top to bottom.
And
It'll
then
come
plug-
all the way down to here, and then
plug
you'll
weld to that.
you'll plug weld this to that. But I have to pull all of that out first, and that secondary sill will be plug welded to the Falcon sill, and then all this goes back in and then gets plug welded to that. It's great if you like plug welding.
Welding's not the problem.
No, welding's not the problem. Linishing, yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah, so you can weld all that in there. Obviously, on the inner sides, you're gonna put it like a plate inside.
That's what I wanted to talk to you about. Because remember when we were talking about that IRS, whatever, independent front suspension.
Yep.
You said that we would need to trim the current chassis rail seams,
Yep.
weld them, and then I think
may
you
as well do
said
it all
box
in
the
one
whole
piece.
thing,
Yeah.
and then fillet weld each
Yes.
edge.
Yes.
And
So you
so
may as well do that. in
that's
one
what I'm
piece.
thinking, doing it all at once.
You make a plate, side profile of the rail,
Yeah.
the plate will
Now, how thick would it need to be?
3 mil.
3?
3.
Okay. I'm lucky I've got.
To be honest, you realistically doesn't need to come to the front.
Well, how
If you
should I
wanted-
come to maybe where
If
that?
you wanted to finish it here,
Yeah, I was going to say just behind the crumple seat.
just sort of
So,
just finish it like a fish plate. Like, but you need to basically box it all round.
yeah. Well,
So cut the seam off first. As
Yeah.
you cut it, weld it up.
yeah. Well, what
Yeah,
I'll
when
do
you
is
weld it up, because they're a bit of a bitch, because because they're both folded up, you cut it off, you end up with a gap. So
if I cut it
fill
in
it with weld.
sections.
yeah,
Oh,
cut it in
sorry, the
sections.
old one. If I cut this off in sections,
Yeah.
weld a bit, cut a bit, weld a bit, cut a bit,
Yeah.
and end
What
up.
I'm saying is, you're not going to end up with 2 bits of steel that are close to each other, because that one folds up and the other one folds up.
Yeah.
You end up with a gap. They just
Yeah.
fill it with weld, basically.
Oh, sorry. Let's go back. Are you saying don't cut that?
No, I'm
don't cut
saying
it all the way down?
Cut it off, but just bear in mind that when you do cut that lip off, the 2 bits of steel, they're not.
Oh,
gonna
yeah,
actually
because of the fold, they're not
because
gonna
of
be
the fold,
touching.
They're not going to be touching.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Okay.
but just fill it with weld, basically.
Okay. So if I take a card, I'll have to cut the shock towers and
Yep.
all of this shit off, so I get a bare chassis rail,
Yes.
and then if I just use a cardboard template and take a template of the whole thing all the way back to say just past the curve of that,
Yeah, just where the floor starts.
just
to,
where it straightens
yeah,
out,
where it starts to straighten out. Yeah.
and that'll be a one piece of steel 3 mil thick.
Yeah.
Would you want it to be plug welded to the old chassis, or is it? Yeah.
Yeah. So
In
plug
which
weld it.
ways?
I mean, obviously you're going to fully weld it along the top. 'cause
The
you're
seams and
you're gonna
everything.
Finish it
Yeah.
to make it look nice, but plug weld it. You know, whatever, every 250 at least to the rail as well as to the Mustang section.
Sorry, what did you say? Every 200?
Yeah. Very, yeah.
And is it just one
It's
plug
just-
weld every 200?
Yeah.
Or you want more?
That's enough. That's enough.
Okay. It's really just to hold it in position
Yeah.
while you're doing the fillet weld, is it?
That's right.
Okay.
It's not because you fillet weld, really you don't want to be welding it on top. You actually want to be welding through this, so you want the penetration to go through
Oh, I see.
that. So when
you
you
want
do,
it to catch the...
yeah.
okay.
So when you do plate at top, bottom, and sides,
Hmm.
finish your panels so you've actually got a gap in there.
There's a little
Don't-
bit of steel exposed.
Don't actually bring them to touch.
Yep.
Because you don't want your weld. You don't want to build a box on top of this that's not attached to it.
I get what you're
You
saying.
know what I mean? So
Yeah. It's got to
yeah.
become
So
part
you
of it.
bring them like that,
Yep.
which will actually leave you like a
Pretty
channel to weld in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
It'll be quite A wide weld, won't it?
It'll be wide, so that way you can linear
You
it
can
as
raise
well.
it to make it
Because
round.
Yeah, and it'll end up
not
just
break
looking
through.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
perfect.
So you're actually going to weld this rail to. It's going to become one.
You can
Yeah.
go right round from or just like top and bottom, top and top.
I'd do it all the way around purely for the look, but
Oh yeah, I'll be
Yeah.
welding the whole thing.
yeah,
Because I'm not shy of welding.
yeah.
Now, so I understand now what you need
Mhm.
to go to do the side profile, and the bottom profiles. It's self-explanatory. Although I just want to
Yep.
ask you, see that piece there, which is welded on the side.
hmm
That's the transmission
That can come off.
cross member.
You
But
can take that off.
it's just nice how that shape actually lines up with the Mustang, isn't it?
It does. Yeah,
It's a perfect
it does.
transition.
If you want to,
I'd like to do something similar to that.
Yeah, you have to make some sort of a transition to make
Yeah,
it
to make it look right.
to make it look
Now, what
right.
about the
Yeah.
top? Would I be alright to do like a swoop from that, a swoop down, curving into this?
Like here, like
Yeah.
that. Like basically like a curve. Like that.
Or I could.
You could.
It's just that sort of where it all sort of finishes.
Mm.
I mean, I could trim that back a little bit, but
Yeah, it's one of those things. Once you get
that's
there,
just going to be a cosmetic thing, really.
yeah, it is. Once you get there, it'll.
Blend it.
It's going to have nothing to do with the strength of the car. It's really just finishing it off, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
See what.
if you don't mind if I just sort of like play around with that top piece a little bit and then just blend it in as it looks best, kind of thing.
Have a play with that. I mean, obviously you're gonna have that cavity because once that's gone,
Yeah, that's going to be
you're gonna
gone.
be able to see in there. So you're probably gonna have to dress it up or close it off or.
No, what I'm saying is, could I just simply start the top piece of steel? Could I simply start it from the top of the Mustang chassis rail?
Up here.
Yeah, and then
Bring it
swoop
down.
it down in. Or do you think that'll look funny? Should I take it? Should I go right back to where the?
Back to here.
No, should I go right back to
Go back to here.
that part and simply come straight down to the Falcon and then straight across?
And then it's going to look like you've gone from that rail up to this big wide rail.
You don't want it to look like
The
you don't want it
rail's
to look like another
Go
rail.
From a rail. Like
You're going
that
to make it.
a
You're going to go
rail
from a
like
rail like that. If you put the sweep in, you're going to make it look like the rail's just gone this big.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
that. To be honest,
I see it,
maybe
yeah.
even-
I just clean it off.
I just
Maybe if you cut that off and just continue this.
just
rail.
go straight into
Straight
it and then block it.
Yeah, straight across.
Yeah, no, I think
and
you're
block
both
it.
right.
That way, you know, the top of the rail continues. It gets bigger on the bottom,
Yeah,
but when the rail goes from this and just becomes this thing
Yeah.
that's
yeah. If it's top and bottom, it is
Yeah.
going to look weird. But if it's bottom, it's okay. It just looks like it's
yeah,
getting
continue
because that's
like
right at the torque box too. So it's kind of appropriate, really, that it gets wide at the torque box.
Yeah, that's right. So if your top panel continues straight
Yeah.
and where it meets the floor pan, just fold the flange on it. Then you can plug them in from inside the car to the floor.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh okay.
So your top panel, rather than just butting up to the floor pan like that, just fold the flange on it,
Yeah.
and you can plug them in from the
Yeah,
inside.
gotcha. Yeah. Good idea.
And
And that'll be straight.
Yep.
yeah, that'll look better.
Yeah.
You'll blend it a lot there. You won't even kick it.
Yeah. And that's what you want, isn't it? You want it to look
and then-
natural.
and then the original floor will just come back up on that angle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look like part of, like it'll just go in and come back out again, like a, you like that.
Yep. No, good
You
idea.
want it to make it look like it belongs.
I think whatever you do, it's always good to try to make it look like it was factory, eh?
Yeah.
Taking
Or at least
14
look-
years to do that. the
Look
one way.
correct.
Oh, what's that?
I just finished one. It took me 14 years.
Oh, this can't take 14 years, Con. It's like 14 months
I've got
max.
the easy part. It's the time frame's up to you.
Yeah.
14 months. Shit, that's a tight deadline for a job this big.
Oh, well, I don't like mucking around. I just like to build it. You know.
Who
Yeah.
does your body and paint?
Well, I did the last. Oh, well, actually,
That's what the whole years.
no, well, I did all the steel work and what's the name? Sebastian DeSetto, he did the body work.
Fab.
And then Malibu did the paint on my GT, and then the John Goss that you built the engine for, I did the body and paint on that. But I don't really want to do body and paint; it's too much work.
You still got it?
No, I sold it to some car collector down in Tasmania, and he had it for a while, and then someone ran into it and wrote it off.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's one of those with orange covers and shit, eh?
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, he did like a 393, like 580 horse or something, and I made it look like a John Goss, and even in the engine bay, I got these orange tappet covers to make it look like a 302. It's stupid, but yeah, it's nice. He is rebuilding it apparently.
Oh, he is.
But it was all, this corner was smacked right in. Yeah, so okay, so that's the chassis rails. I pretty much know, and the good thing about that is by doing that, then I'm setting it up for the you know, I played around with the idea of, look, I went and bought Jag suspensions and whatnot, and I talked to you about that. But just lately I've been thinking, I don't know if I want to do that, just like restore a Jag suspension and then fit it in and everything. Like, I'm making something really kind of unique here, and that's why my feeling is going back towards this United speed shop setup. And that being the case, doing what we're talking about here, then we're basically going to have that all set up.
That's right.
For this, right?
For that,
Yeah.
That'll be, once you do this side of it, maybe one headache less, that'll just go straight in.
Yep, okay.
Straight in. That's a matter of simply welding that crossmember in,
Yep.
everything else.
And part of the reason too was that I felt that I don't have to stuff around restoring something, and I will go for the I will transfer the Brembo brakes from the Mustang to this. Yeah. So that way things should integrate better.
But yeah, as far as your reinforcement from here back to the pillar, whether it's round or square or whatever you want to do, you're going to need some sort of reinforcement. Whether you want to go from the front or here.
I was thinking just in front of where the suspension mounts.
Yeah, that's right. Good idea.
Now if it was box section, like, what would you say it would need to be minimum?
50-50?
Hey?
50 by 50?
Oh really, that's more. By 3 mil?
Yeah, 3 mil. It just depends how you shape it, because you got to be careful of your wheels as well. You want to be able to get through lock.
That's what I was thinking. If I have it sticking out here, you don't want it sticking out too far, and then your suspension and everything, gets screwed. But having said that, I am changing the whole engine bay basically, so it wouldn't matter if it was on the inside and it just curved up and then I just blended panel work into it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be on the outside of this. I could set it straight on top of the chassis rail and come up, angle back into something here, and then that part goes straight back, or comes along and then curves.
Yeah. Yeah, so 50-50, 3 mil would be enough. I mean...
And the top one the same?
Yeah, you'd need to triangulate it at some point. Like, I mean...
Triangulate it?
We did it to a Mustang. We used 1.75" round pipe. We plated the pillar and it came through this section. It just came up there and bent down. And it actually met the side of the rail. It plated the side of the rail, went into there, and much like that, we just simply had one bar that intersected the bar up here and just came down on a Mustang, because it didn't have a torque box. It ended up basically a pillar on the side of the sill or something.
Okay.
But that's all that was needed. So basically, one piece pipe or tube, if you want to do it out of square tube.
Would you want to put a plate on here, like a 5 mil plate or something here? What would you
5
put?
mil, but just 3 mil, just
3
to
mil?
spread the load.
So I'd do a plate from top to bottom to cover that whole area, so I've got stuff to weld to, and then...
Yeah, I mean, it's up to you if you want to do the whole area, but...
Oh, it's just as easy, I think.
Yeah, if you want to put a whole plate,
Because I'm thinking with what you're talking about, if I did that and then I wanted to put a brace back or something, at least I can...
so at least you're not limited as to where you can go anywhere. Yeah, you could do that if you want to plate that whole area.
So 3 mil plate to cover the A pillar, that's your surface to weld to.
Yeah.
And what, plug weld and then seam weld around the outside?
Yeah. Yep. So you have to do that. Once you do that, then this will become, it's purely just to hold the guards
That's all.
in position.
Yeah.
So
It's no longer for strength, and then I could.
In here.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, that would be great. Panel or not. So anyway,
Yeah,
but
if you're going to use that kick panel,
then it won't fit.
yeah,
Yeah,
you're
so I
gonna
need
keep
to
it
leave
all-
it.
Yeah.
Can you modify the kick panel?
Well, I don't know yet.
And
I'll
then
just wait
your,
and see.
your bottom skirt's going to not meet.
Yeah. I might not. Yeah, I don't know. But
You're trying to utilise all original trim Mustang.
I'm not trying to recreate a Mustang, but I'm trying to make my job a little bit easier. And then maybe later on I'll get it all reupholstered so it doesn't quite look so Mustang-ish.
Yeah,
You know? But what I was thinking originally when I was going to run, because that'll be painted surface, you pinch weld down there, then you'll have this surface, is I was thinking about covering this surface with leather so it blends in with the dash.
yeah.
And then, yeah, so you've just got black and then this and then
a lot
pinch
of
weld.
modern cars, when you open the door, you see that part of the dash. Oh, okay. Yeah, like most, you know what I mean? Like some cars, like the door trims come out here and then
Yeah.
it comes and meets the dash. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So it won't look
I
odd.
don't think it's a
It won't
biggie.
look odd, no.
No, I even remembered looking and seeing a photo of the X-Boss, and it may not be as big as that, but I think there's something similar on the X-Boss where that finishes and then there's something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You got that
So
sorted.
I'll try the wiring loom and see how far up it's going to sit and what I
Yeah.
can get away with. And then, but if I couldn't trim it right down to here,
Yeah. If you trim it right down to there, there wouldn't be enough meat there to put a decent hole for a plug.
no.
You could probably comfortably cut half of it off
Mm-hmm.
and still have enough room to drill like a
Yeah, there's no drilling this shit.
high strength steel.
Is it?
Yeah.
You won't drill it.
Yeah.
I unpick it.
I use the unpicking. It's different. You just get into it with an air chisel, and the air chisel just simply rips those holes out.
Well, so you can't drill a hole in it?
No, you can't drill. I've tried it. It's fucking hopeless. You know how I drilled those? I didn't drill them. I blew them with the plasma cutter. I blew holes with the plasma cutter, and then I got the Dremel bit,
Yeah.
and I used the Dremel bit to round them off. But you can't drill it.
Wow.
So
That's what I
I mean,
so-
this car should have a lot of strength when it's finished, shouldn't it? If I do it,
Yeah, it'll be strong.
yeah.
But
'Cause it's going to have like
there we go.
fucking.
Why can't you run your wires in there? Inside.
Well, I guess I haven't really gone into it too much, Jace, but it's these wires. They have the big, massive square plugs on the end of them and all this
yeah.
sort of shit. It's not like the old Falcons. You can
Can't
thread
put-
them through
can't
little
put them
holes.
through.
Eh?
You have to start on.
I wouldn't know. I don't want to get into
Yeah.
fucking around with the wiring. Eh?
Mm.
Yeah, okay.
So
Yeah, it's hard. There's only so much of it you can plan.
okay, cool. So I know what to do now. So I can basically just go ahead and bend up these inner sills and get them made, and I can drill them. I can weld them.
Yeah, cut towers out, weld all the seams
Yeah.
up in there, so that way you can start making the profiles for the front rails.
Yeah.
Blending all that in. And
Well, I'll make this the priority. I'll make I call it the tub. I'll
Yeah.
make the tub the priority to get that fixed in, and then I'll do all of this stuff after that.
okay.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I hope some of you got some useful information out of that. So basically now because we've been given the go-ahead to carry on, I'm going to be taking the floorpan firewall out and doing some minor modifications to it, and then some quite major modifications to the coupe body before it goes back in. So hope you enjoy. Looking quite empty now that I've pulled the floor pan out, but it's good. We can get stuck in and do some real work now. I'm going to be adding a 20 by 20 mil RHS box section to this area here, and then another 20 by 20 RHS box section to this area here, making the windscreen pillar wider on the outside, and then also this part here to extend under the windscreen. Then we're going to be adding 3 mil plate all the way down the A pillar to give us a strong solid surface to weld our reinforcement tubing on later on. What else? And then over on the inside sills, they're going to be getting a 180 deep plate with the right angles on the top and bottom. They'll go in. What else? Yeah, that's about it. And once that's done, then we can reinsert the floor pan and we'll be welding it in final. So that'll be good. So getting all set for phase 3. So thought I'd explain to everyone how that new inner sill is going to work. So in the red, all the red lines are actually the outline of the standard Falcon sill. So this being the outer sill, and that flat one is just straight up and down as the inner sill. Now that original inner sill is probably less than 2 mil, it's probably only like 1.5 mil thick. The blue line here, the thick blue line, this is the inner sill that I've been talking about making. So it's 180 mil from the top there down, and it extends at least 40 mil below the original Falcon sill. Has a right angle that kicks out, which will then accept the new outer skin, which will curve down. Nowhere near as sharper angle, so it'll curve down more gently and then kick under, and it'll be flush and plug welded through into it on that there. And then the yellow is actually the C-channel sill, which is on the Mustang floor pan. So when it's in, it'll be plug welded directly to the new inner sill, and then from the side, and then from the top it'll be plug welded through to that part of the inner sill, which again has a 90 degree turn on it. So this is a little exaggerated, that the 90 degree return is not going to be going quite that far. It's going to be about 20 mil. It'll be just enough to get a decent plug weld onto. The bottom one, however, I'm going to probably extend it out about 40 mil because I don't want this outer sill to come down too sharply. So I'm going to probably put a good 40 mil there, so it just gives a good area to weld to. And anyway, hopefully that kind of explains it a little bit for you.